there are two workshops operating in parallel at the same time while you're here. The first workshop we call Workshop 1, and it has to do with this kind of stuff. Things that you could learn and be tested on and get an A or fail or do whatever, but we could measure it in that way. Workshop 2 has nothing to do with this stuff, and in fact, it is the more important of the two workshops. It's the workshop that has to do with how you are thinking. And we can't know how you are thinking. We can't measure that in the way that we're going through. Only you can choose to participate in Workshop 2. We will invite it many times, but you will have to make the choice as to whether to go there. Now, what's going on in Workshop 2 is we are beginning to pay attention to our own thinking and then choose which direction our thinking will go. We've talked about it as metacognition. We're paying attention to our thinking. So all throughout the time that we're together, we will be doing things to remind you to notice your thinking, to exercise your will to move things forward in a direction that serves us. Now, here's something fascinating about the Workshop 2 work from a neurological point of view. When I was younger, going to school, studying pre-med, we were taught that once you are born, you have essentially all the neurons you're ever going to have. Maybe grow a few more until about 5 years of age. But from then on, you degrade into adulthood. And we believed for many years that once you lose a central nervous system neuron, then it's gone. You don't grow more new ones. We've since learned that that's not true. In your prefrontal cortex, you can actually grow new neurons, new, not just connections, but new cell bodies. And what happens to help grow those new cell bodies is when we think about our thinking and shift our thinking from one thought form to another. That is the exercise of will, which is an interesting term that we apply exercise to idiomatically in our language. And that exercise grows new neurons. This is kind of like your personal neural growth pattern. So Workshop 2 is that part of this training where we're going to be asking you to pay attention to how you're thinking. We're going to be asking you to be very careful in choosing the particular words you speak out loud because those words come back in your ear and they influence your cognition. We're going to be talking about how certain cognitive starting points predictably lead to the next possible thoughts. And there are certain good starting points and certain not so good starting points. These pieces of the workshop, in fact, are more important in many ways than all the stuff about the creative process and the divergent skills and all of that. We could teach those tools, but what we found is that if we don't also pay attention to Workshop 2, they do not stick. They do not last. They just become a collection of things that people learn sometime in a workshop and never effectively use. So as we speak to you through the rest of the workshop and talk about Workshop 1, Workshop 2, we'll remind you this is a Workshop 2 activity. And what that means is sometimes you're going to have to do mental work when you don't want to. Just like when you go to the gym and you add a new plate onto your stack, you're doing harder work than you might want to. It's sometimes helpful to have a coach to do that. That's what our trainers do, is coach you to just give us another idea. That's Workshop 2 work, and that's the stuff that makes the bigger difference.